Hey there, and welcome to Life at a Glance. So much life to catch up on. So let's just go ahead and dive into today's episode. What I'm going to share today is really the behind the scenes of my most recent launch with the AI Command Center. And there are several takeaways that I'm going to share with you in kind of like my three big bullet points. All right. So, if you didn't know, I launched the AI Command Center. It's a collection of custom trained GPTs to complete really specific tasks inside of your business. That's kind of at the core of it. All right. And so the first big takeaway is that it's unbelievable to me. Like, I only thought this happened to like really big marketers, right? To fill a room. And so, if you know me, one of the things that I talk about is knowing your numbers, and really, I like to have a very tight tech stack. So, with that is Zoom. I use Zoom, but I only use the Zoom room. For years and years and years, I used Zoom and then the $70, $80 a month that you would spend on webinar. And I think webinars hold up to 500 people. I don't know. But Zoom rooms only hold 100. And so leading up, one of the things that I said was that, we have 100 spots, and when they're gone, they're gone. People can like drop off, they can come back on. And the adjustment that I made this time, which was really great, was Heather was live with me. So I have one team member, Heather. She's my right hand. She's been with me for a number of years now. And what was fantastic about that was that we got on, I let everybody know, we got on about 5 minutes early, and we started letting people in. And so we started letting people in, but I wasn't doing that. Last time I did that, and it was a lot between letting people in and trying to keep my train of thought. I mean, that's where multitasking does not work, right? So I was trying to keep my train of thought of what was happening in my slides and what my role was, and still letting people in, because people were coming in throughout the whole within the first 35 minutes. And then I just I couldn't do it anymore, because that multitask and task switching that I was doing, trying to keep my train of thought. And so that's why we made the adjustment and had Heather come on this go around. And it was perfection. And we had a full room. So we had, I think it's like 2 pages, maybe 3 pages. I don't remember. But we had a full room, which was really, really exciting. And having Heather help me with that was great, because now I am literally just in the zone and I'm just sharing the workshop. Now, the workshop that I shared was how to break up with your to-do list with AI. This is a workshop that I've hosted now for several years. It came up probably 2 years ago. And it's all around basically how to manage like these big overwhelming tasks that you have, how I've been able to manage them using sticky notes and my formulas and all that sort of thing. And then we get to the AI portion of it. And it was the first time that I felt like I took each point and I tied it in how I managed that with AI. Because when I started my business 20 years ago, I mean, Facebook wasn't Facebook. Cell phones were not cell phones as they are. I loved my BlackBerry. And AI, certainly, maybe it was happening, but obviously nobody really knew about it, right? And even my journey with AI over the past, I'd say 3 years, has been, very clunky to very conversational to prompts to now bullet train when it comes to GPTs. And we're getting ready to transition into even agents. But I think where I have found an area of opportunity is really helping my customer to figure out how they can use AI in their business, because the noise is so loud. The noise is so loud when it comes to AI. And the goal should be, and what they're saying is to save time. Well, I've been preaching saving time, leverage time. Time is your most valuable asset for years. So now how can we do that and use with AI, right? So So it was just a huge, excuse me, aha moment to ramp up, to open a room and be in the zone and share how to break up with your to-do list, and really having Heather there as a support. The workshop itself was probably about 35 minutes. And then I shared the brand new offer, the AI Command Center. And what happened next took on a life of its own, which I loved. That was everyone in the room was engaged and started asking questions. And the Q&A lasted an hour. And I loved the energy. I loved the questions. There were questions of things that I hadn't thought about to that point. That's why I'm telling you, and I've said it over and again, it is critical, critical, critical that you work with your customer to build your products, to build your services. They will tell you exactly what it is they want. And you already have the solution, so you can make your solution better when you work with your customer, which we're going to get to that here in just a second. And so I got off. I was so excited. I had no idea how many sales we had made during the call. People were saying, I'm in, I'm in, I'm in. And I'm like, this is fantastic. And when I got off, like 2 hours plus later, and I opened up, 25 people had purchased on the call, which I just exploded. Like, I was like, okay, because when you launch something, you're like, is this something that people want? Is this something that people need? And I know because back in the day when I was doing quote unquote webinars, and I would pour my heart, and you pour so much energy and you get off and nobody buys. And then there's how many ever days that cart is open, like nobody's buying. And then you close the cart, nobody bought. And you're like, wait, what just happened? So I'm giving you some insight into kind of like a before and an after, and kind of where I am right now and behind the scenes. So really the only difference this go around was that Heather was in the room. This is the second time that it's happened where we've packed a room, which I'm forever grateful for. I always tell my people, especially on Trello Tuesday, like before I go into Trello Tuesday, I say that I sincerely appreciate your purchase. There's nothing, I think, more, I don't know what the word that I'm trying to find is, that like people just want to be seen and people want to be heard, and people want you to solve their problem. Now, I know the difference when we get emails in our inbox and people are all caps, because I know that those people have been taken advantage of and they haven't got what they've wanted. And now that is just their default response. And so it's our opportunity to come in with customer service to let them know we run our business differently, and here's how we run it. And we will give you the refund. We will help you find what you need, but this is how we work. And so I'm forever grateful. And I just want to encourage you to just continue to take those steps that most people don't see. Continue to go through those hard days that people don't see, because it is a snowball effect when the momentum happens. Right. And so I feel like I am in momentum now. So Zoom room filled it. Heather was there. There was tech snafus that were happening. We use Samcart. They just did an update. XP. Heather was not letting me know this. It didn't crash, but it kind of crashed with all of those sales simultaneously coming in. But Heather was there. And it was also an opportunity for us to kind of showcase customer support and letting folks know, okay, we're on it. Let's figure out what this problem is. So all of that was amazing. All right. So first things first. And I think, and I'm going to do additional episodes. A lot of marketers will sell you how to launch something. right? But here's the thing that they don't share that I feel is a huge area of opportunity where I'm going to insert myself is then how to manage the thing that you've launched and understand, like, if you launch it at this price point, this is what that impact will be. If you launch this program, this is how to manage it. If you launch a membership, this is how to manage it. I think it's there are so many steps and so many things that happen after you launch that nobody talks about, and we will start talking about it because that's where the fun happens. And there's so much that can come out of that. So we're going to get to that. Pushback and deadlines. So the weekend before we were to launch on Wednesday, I go to open my computer. I am an Apple user. I don't even remember the last time I used a PC. And so there's definitely an Apple language and there is a PC language. I go to open my laptop and nothing has changed, did not do anything. But for whatever reason, it looked like I had shut the computer and it wasn't a crack, but there was a line on the screen and you could see nothing. And I was like, wait, what? So I composed myself. Daniel was down in the field with the dogs. So I went down there. I was in my house coat. I was like, oh my gosh, my computer, I cannot use it. I'm going to have to get another computer. And so you think you can just like order and it will be there, or I can go to the Apple store and it will be there. Well, not necessarily the case. And thank goodness for business savings. So that's another lesson, like business savings, because I typically get the 16-inch. I get more storage because we, run more operations or whatever. And it's not just like $1,000 computer, right? And so going into a little bit of a freak out mode, but here's the other like cherry on top. I had debated whether or not to join a program and a mentorship. And it's a mentorship. It's not a program. And I felt like my business savings was there. I felt like I was hitting momentum. It was all great. And I pulled the lever on the program. I did that on Friday. And so that's an investment. And then my computer pulled the lever for me again. And I'm like, what is just happening? Right. And so what would you have done? Would you have said, no, I'm just going to have to push this back? All of those people that have registered, I'm not going to have time to finish all of like the little details. My computer, I can't do it. Which just so happens we have a PC as a backup. It's here at the house. And so I was like, all right, let's roll up my sleeves because I wasn't going to get the Apple computer in time. And let me go to work. Let me see what I can do. Because all of those things were in place. Like I couldn't stop. And here's what I know to be true about deadlines. Like you're either ready or you're not. It's like Christmas Eve, that man in the red suit, he's coming. With my seasonal children's consignment sale, we had deadlines of here's the last chance to sign up as a consigner. Boom, everybody signed up. Here's the last chance to enter your items and you can't bring anymore. Boom. Like I would have people from a Saturday evening to a Sunday at 12 enter like 15,000 items. People need deadlines. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just we're human. And if there's not a deadline, what are we running to? It is a very disciplined person who can manage without the deadlines, right? And so, crisis of computer, made a large investment in myself, and the show had to go on. And so mama used, and oh my gosh, like think about that. This is where the business command center comes into play, because at least you could access it on your phone. And I have a system both electronically, but I also have a backup system where everything is written down for all of the programs that I use. Because had I not had that, how was I accessing stuff on a completely different operating system? And so when we talk about tech snafu, like the tech didn't really snafu. Rhonda snafu'd with all of like the major thing, her computer not working. So this was just kind of like behind the scenes. So we filled a room, 25 sales out of the gate, super excited. One of the things, and this is not a point, but one of the things, and this happened with my seasonal event, the first night of sales for my seasonal event, we could do six figures. We could do six figures in like 4 hours. That is all of the consigners and volunteers. That is who is shopping. And you can get really excited. But what I learned to do is to pace myself, because I know then the next day sales are going to go down. That doesn't mean that people don't want your stuff. It's just, it levels itself out. Like it should be a frenzy. And then you have the next day. And then there is consistency between kind of post workshop, post webinar to close cart. And it's in that post webinar, post workshop to close cart phase where that is the emotional roller coaster. Meaning, like you could wake up and there are no sales. You could go all day and there are no sales. So, this sucks. Nobody wants it. I suck. I don't know what I'm doing. Let me like close everything up here. And this online thing isn't going to work. That's where the tenacity and stick-to-itiveness comes into play. And so I continued to craft the emails. I will send one in the morning and I will resend unopens in the evening. There are a couple of reasons why I do that. But nonetheless, sales continue to trickle in, right? And for me, in this launch, I had a good, better, best goal. Out of the gate, within the first day, we had already made our good goal. And by about midway through, we had hit our better goal. And so I was excited, hands down. And I almost wanted just to kind of relax a little bit, but I'm like, oh, no. And what I have found is typically that last day is those sales will come in. Like we'll get sales that day. Last day of cart open, I opened up my computer and zero. There were zero sales first thing in the morning. And I was like, okay, all right, we got all day. I got this. And I did a live Q&A, which I really liked that live Q&A, and it's going to be a part of the Evergreen series. I'll talk about that in a whole nother episode. And I got off of that call. And typically when you're live, you have to think about how people purchase from you and your customer journey. They need to see you. They need to understand. They need to ask questions. They need to watch how other people are asking questions and how you respond to those, right? So it would make sense the first day that your sales are going to be high. Then afterwards, the only thing that's maintaining those sales are social posts that you make, as well as their email. And you are putting a lot of weight on social and email, but that's what we do, right? And so I tried to insert some videos in there. I was posting on social. I was sending out my emails. And then I was like, last day, let me do something that would trigger. So there were questions that came through the inbox, and I was like, you know what? I haven't answered those questions on the sales page. Let me answer those questions during a live session. Let me do some demos. Let me show how I can pull everything together. And it was a great session. I think we had maybe 30 or 40 people show, and I really enjoyed that. It was so funny because I did it in a Zoom room so people could register, and then I streamed it on my phone. It's so like low tech, but 100% worked, right? And I streamed it into the community, and it was so low tech, but I don't care. It worked. It worked, and it will forever be in that community. So anyway, we got off, and I think there was a sale after that, and my heart kind of sank, and I was like, okay, I've done my good, better. I've done my better goal. It's okay. It's okay, Rhonda. It's okay. And then like about mid-afternoon, we started getting sales. And then early evening, we started getting more sales. And then up to the deadline, sales were coming in. Like they were pouring in. It was as if it was launch day and I was live. That's how fast sales were coming in. We probably got more sales on the last day than we did on the first day. And so, all in, the best goal was 75 new members. And I was like, oh, like, and then like the flip side. So you've got a good, better, best. And you're like, okay. And then I started getting nervous. I'm just telling you, like, what is that roller coaster? The first time I did $30,000 in sales from the template, I was like thinking to myself, are they going to realize that it's a Trello template? Are is this really solving their problem? Like all of those doubts inside of your brain, that mind trash that goes on. Well, it's happening again as I'm like, okay, I just made the best goal. What's next? What's now? I got nervous, right? I got nervous and I was excited and I was exhausted, like all wrapped up, which leads me to my third point. I'm going to say this and you're going to be like, yeah, I'm not an expert. I want that to sink in. I'm not an expert. So I am very conservative when I share, I guess, my systems. I don't know why. They work for me. They have worked for 10,000 people that have used the template and have purchased it. And they've worked for my members. They've worked for my one-on-one clients. They've worked. But for whatever reason, I think it's that humbleness inside of us as entrepreneurs that, yeah, we have a solution, but is it going to work for you? Right. And so I had to remind myself what I'm sharing with people is how I operate my business. And I know if I continue to share with people how I operate and my little tips and tricks and my whys, like yesterday when we did the onboarding call, which I loved that onboarding call, I showed them the slide deck and I told them exactly why I use that slide deck and how to use it and why I use it and how important it is and what you do with it. And it's just like, wait, what? That's what I do? And then I kind of step into, I'm not even going to say that I'm an expert. I'm just a homeschooling soccer mom, advanced maternal age with some life experience. So I'm not an AI expert. And I don't think anybody really is. I mean, there are people that, have reputations, and there are people that know a whole heck of a lot more than I do. I know how I use it. I know how I've been successful with it. And I think there was a huge shift when I trained the YouTube GPT. I'm going to just go down a little bit of a rabbit hole here with the story of we've all purchased YouTube courses. We've all said, and especially come January, we'll say, I want a YouTube channel. We've all said that. We've all been there. Let's raise our hands. I've spent a lot of money on YouTube courses and I have rented an Airbnb with the intention I'm going to batch a month's worth of YouTube videos, spent the money and left with nothing. Until I guess I just got over myself and I just started recording. I push record. I use low-key tools and I publish consistently. And what I started to realize, even in the description, I'm like, well, how are they, if they've got 100,000 subs? I'm not really monetizing for views. That's great, but that's not, how are they making sales on their YouTube channel? And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this and we'll see if it happens. And it started out slow, but when I really started looking at my analytics, because we have a better cart now, when I started looking at my analytics and I realized that I generated $1,000 in sales off of organic YouTube I was like, wait, what? And then I put that into my GPT. So I put my brain into that GPT. There was the shift of, I'm not an expert, but I know how to do this stuff. And I feel if I can do it, you can do it. I'm very much, that's how the whole Trello thing started. That's how that whole template started. Originally, I was running ads. I was running ads myself, and it was to a webinar. And the cost was high, and the turnout was low, and the sales were zero. And I was watching other people in the height of that whole webinar, making gazillion dollars phase. I was mad. And I was like, I can do that. If they can do it, I can do it. And I know I can figure out how to do it. And so it literally was that same copy for the webinar. I tweaked it a little bit, did the screenshot, put $35 behind it. Boom, sales started that day. Sales started that day. I was profitable from day one. Even I'm going to use air quotes, the gurus didn't believe my numbers. And I'm like, yeah, you want to see the back end? Like, here are my numbers. I guess that all that to say is you are the expert. You know how to do stuff. Do it. And do it with your customer. But because here's the other thing. So yesterday, when I did the live onboarding call, which I love doing live onboarding calls, we're going to kind of throw back to the workshop and that 1 hour of Q&A. So didn't know how many sales. I didn't know what was kind of happening on the back end, but in the room with people, what I did see, what I did hear was they wanted community. And I've always said this, like, people will purchase your product, but they stay for community. And there are a couple of things that I do with memberships. I do them all the time. And I haven't had a community in a whole long time, like a private group. And I was like, oh, I don't know. But just, I don't know. I felt like I was leaning into, I know how to use AI to run my business operations, but keeping in mind and feeling I'm not the expert. So I know people in that room are no less than me and no more than me. But collectively, as a community, me doing the work, we can learn a whole bunch from each other. And so one of the additional bonuses that I shared yesterday was that it has a community now to it. And I'm not 100% sure, like all of the pieces and parts. We started with things yesterday. So community votes on a new GPT that's launched each and every month. Inside of that community, there is a bug thread if something is not working. I'm still keeping the Help Me Rhonda on demand for 30 days. So if they want to privately message me, they can do that. And I video message them back, go straight to their inbox. I love, love, love that system. And the one thing that I started with inside of that community was introducing and to see their faces. And so it's one thing to open and to kind of come into a community. It's another, if we think about a room and inviting people into that room. And inviting those people into the room, I wanted to know where they were from, what they're doing off the clock, and the most creative way that they've used AI. And from last night to this morning, I have fallen in love with those faces. They are no longer people in a room they're faces, right? With the most unique niches. We got a photo booth, a girl who has like the top photo booth. She's in there. Like I am so, I don't know. Then it's like, I'm going to dig in even more. And I feel like if you were a part of something, if you feel like you're a part of something, if you feel like you're contributing, then it makes the experience so much better. It makes the experience better for your customer, your member, and you as an entrepreneur, because now it's not 75. These are people in a room with me who want to use AI in their business. And that was kind of an overall, there's all kinds of steps in like managing once you have a program, a coaching program, a digital program, or even a membership. There's a lot of customer journey steps. And again, I think that that's going to be a whole episode, or it's like lots of several little mini episodes. But what I really wanted to share was that I think that you hit milestones in your business. Certainly filling a room to capacity is a big milestone for me, and I'm grateful. Always use deadlines inside of your business, because it's the thing that keeps you internally accountable. I had to do that with the big tech hiccup happening. And even during launch, having things happening that I had no idea until after the call. And it is the stick to itiveness and no, I can guarantee you every single major big league launch, like through the roof the first day, then it's going to have a down, and it's going to kind of level out, and it will peak on that last day. They have to continue to feel it. They've got to touch it. They've got to go, she's consistent. She's not. I heard about it. Now I'm not hearing anything about it. And I think that we all wear the title of I'm not an expert, but you know how to do stuff. And when you take on that role and you work with your customer, everybody wins. Everybody wins all the way around. And so that's the debrief. That's the debrief of the AI Command Center launch. And I can only tell you that the bones of that program are strong, and it's only going to get stronger because I'm building it with my community. My favorite thing to do. Notice no scarcity. Up front with all of like the numbers, there's 100 seats, come in. There was one bonus that I offered that now is no longer available. I think that if you run your business that way, then people will know. They'll know how to make decisions, and whether they want to, move forward with you, or they are like, no, this is good. I don't need this go around. So thanks for listening. I appreciate you so much. For the month of September, which is the birthday month, I've got to rest. I've got to rest this weekend, because for the month of September, we have so many fun things that are going to be popping. These are things literally that you, my customer, my members, have been asking for. And I feel at a place that I can manage, and I can make those offers, and I can provide those resources and assets. So stick around, buckle up, Buttercup, because it is going to be fun. And Maggie's coming home, and we are, y'all, I know, like, have you seen the reels for the head spas? Like, I have short hair. I don't even care. Maggie and I, for my birthday. So here are my 2 birthday wishes from my family. You'll laugh. One is Maggie and I are going to go to a head spa. And I'm really excited about it. And the other is we're building a fence. It is not just any fence. It is the fence for our front field. And I have always envisioned, as you come down, we've got this long driveway, and I want to have this fence that is covered in Confederate jasmine. Have you ever smelled Confederate jasmine at the peak of bloom? It's amazing. And I've always wanted that. And so I typically, like, I've asked for porch swings, for my birthday, I ask for things that will get done on the property because I know it's a deadline. They will do it because it's a deadline. And so here we go. We are going to build the fence, the Confederate jasmine fence that I have wanted probably for 10 years. So, anyway, take care, guys. We'll talk soon.